The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was the largest building ever made by intelligent life. It floated in the empty space between three star systems, a massive sphere of glass and metal that could hold 10,000 beings from 100 different worlds. Light from distant stars came through the walls and made everything glow with soft colors. Park stood at the speaking platform in the center of this hall. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had been Earth's ambassador to the Council for 7 years now. 7 years of fighting for his people. 7 years of losing. Around him, the seats rose up like a mountain on all sides. Thousands of aliens watched him. Some had scales. Some had tentacles. Some looked like insects and some looked like nothing he could describe. They all had one thing in common. They all looked bored. Took a deep breath and began to speak. His voice was carried by machines to every corner of the hall, translated into 500 languages at the same time. "Honorable members of the Galactic Council," he said, "I come before you today to present humanity's concerns for the 47th time." A sound came from the section. It might have been a laugh. There were tall beings with purple skin and many tentacles. They considered themselves the most important species in the galaxy. They had been members of the Council for 10,000 years. Continued as if he had not heard. 3 months ago, Earth colony ships were stopped at the junction. They were searched for 16 days, their food spoiled. 32 colonists died from hunger and sickness. The inspectors found nothing illegal. They never apologized. The delegate, a creature that looked like a spider made of crystal, clicked its legs together. This was their way of showing they did not care. 2 months ago, said, our mining corporation was rights to asteroid field K7749. This field was unclaimed. We followed every rule. Our application was rejected with no reason given. 1 week later, the mining collective received the rights. They have done nothing with the field since. The section was quiet. There were blob-like creatures that lived in floating tanks of liquid. They controlled most of the galaxy's banking. They said nothing, but could feel their amusement. 1 month ago, Trade Route 17 was moved. It used to pass through human space, bringing business to our stations. Now it goes around us, adding 3 days to every journey. When we asked why, we were told it was for efficiency. Paused. He looked around the great hall at all the faces and non-faces watching him, some with eyes, some with sensors, some with organs he could not understand. We have been members of this council for 83 years, he said. In that time we have asked for nothing but fairness. We have followed every law, we have paid every fee, we have never started a war, we have never broken a treaty. His voice grew harder. And yet we are treated like children, like pests, like something unpleasant that you wish would go away. He stopped speaking. The hall was silent. Then the high speaker rose from his seat. He was the oldest alive, with skin so dark purple it was almost black. His voice was soft but carried to every corner. The council thanks the human representative for his passionate words, the high speaker said. We will take his concerns under consideration. I move that we table this matter for further review. This was what they always said, further review. It meant nothing would change. All in favor, the high speaker asked. Hands rose, tentacles rose, claws and wings and things that had no name rose. Every single delegate voted yes. Not one species supported humanity, not one. The motion passes, the high speaker said. Next order of business. Walked out of the hall. His shoes made no sound on the polished floor. Behind him, the council had already forgotten him. They were discussing trade rights between the and the. Important matters. Real matters, not human matters. Admiral was waiting for him in the human delegation quarters. She was a small woman with short black hair and eyes that had seen too much. She wore the gray uniform of Earth's space fleet. How did it go? She asked, but she already knew. She could see it on his face. Same as always, said. He sat down heavily in a chair. They did not even pretend to listen this time. 47 speeches, 47 votes, 47 failures. Poured him a drink, Earth whiskey brought from home at great cost. What do you want to do? Stared at the amber liquid in his glass. For 7 years he had believed in diplomacy. He had believed that if he just kept trying, kept talking, kept being reasonable, things would change. The council would see that humans deserved respect. He had been a fool. I want to send a message to Earth, he said slowly. Tell them I recommend protocol silence. His eyes widened. Protocol silence was extreme. It had never been used before. It meant giving up on the council completely, walking away forever. Are you sure? She asked. Finished his drink. They will never see us as equals, never. We have tried everything else. It is time to show them what equality looks like. Nodded slowly. She understood. Sometimes the only way to be heard was to stop talking. That night sent an encrypted message across the stars to Earth. The reply came 72 hours later. It was one word: approved. The galaxy did not know it yet, but everything was about to change. The news spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. Every news station, every communication network, every data stream carried the same message. Humanity was leaving the Galactic Council. On 1,000 different worlds, billions of beings stopped what they were doing to watch. This had never happened before. Species joined the Council. Species grew within the Council. Species sometimes died out while still in the Council, but no species had ever chosen to leave. Counselor Bay stood at the same speaking platform where had stood so many times before. She was a young woman with a round face and gentle eyes. She had been humanity's official representative on the council for 3 years. In all that time, she had never been allowed to vote on anything important. Today, she did not look gentle. Today, she looked like someone who had made peace with a difficult decision. The Great Hall was completely full. Every species had sent their highest leaders. The High Speaker sat in his ancient chair, his tentacles wrapped tight around the armrests. The delegate clicked and buzzed with nervous energy. Even the, who usually showed no emotion, rippled strangely in their tanks. Held a single piece of paper, old-fashioned, human. She read from it in a clear, calm voice. The United Earth Government thanks the Galactic Council for 83 years of educational experiences. She paused just slightly on the word educational. We withdraw our membership, our personnel, and our cooperation. Effective immediately, Earth recognizes no treaties, trade agreements, or diplomatic obligations with Council species. The hall erupted in noise. 100 different languages shouted questions and protests, waited until they grew quiet again. We wish you well, she finished. Then she folded the paper, put it in her pocket, and smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone watching something they had built finally fall down. This is absurd, the High Speaker said, his voice cracked with age and anger. You cannot simply leave. There are procedures, negotiations. You must give us time to address your concerns. Tilted her head slightly. We gave you 47 chances to address our concerns. You chose not to. This is the result. But surely this is a negotiating position, the delegate said. You want something. Tell us what you want. We wanted respect, said. We wanted fairness. We wanted to be treated as equals. She shook her head. We do not want those things from you anymore. We will find them elsewhere, or we will create them ourselves. She turned and walked toward the exit. Her footsteps echoed in the suddenly silent hall. Wait, the High Speaker called. What about the translation networks? Human linguists built most of the base code. Our species can barely communicate without those systems. Stopped at the door, she looked back over her shoulder. Then I suggest you learn quickly, she said. Goodbye. She walked out. The door closed behind her, and the Galactic Council began to understand what they had lost. Commander Han watched the evacuation from the control room of Nexus Station. The station was the main hub for human activity in Council space. 10,000 humans lived and worked here. Diplomats, scientists, engineers, doctors, teachers. All of them were leaving. Ships lined up at the docking ports. Families carried bags and boxes filled with their lives. Children asked questions that their parents could not answer. Where are we going? Why do we have to leave? Will we come back? Had no children. He had given his life to the fleet, but watching those families leave made something hurt in his chest. His second officer, Lieutenant Go, stood beside him. She was young and still believed in things. "Sir," she said quietly, "are we doing the right thing?" Did not answer for a long moment. Through the window he could see the lights of the council district. Millions of beings lived there. For 83 years humans had worked beside them, built with them, helped them, and been treated like nothing in return. "I do not know if it is right," finally said, "but I know it is necessary. Sometimes you must leave a place that does not value you, even if leaving is hard." The last ship was loading now. A transport vessel called the Morning Star would be on it. He would be the last human to leave Nexus Station. He walked through the empty corridors one final time. The lights were dimming as power systems shut down. Human systems. Systems that humans had designed and built and maintained for decades. He passed the medical center where human doctors had treated patients from 50 different species. He passed the engineering section where human technicians had kept the station running. He passed the school where human teachers had educated children from across the galaxy. All empty now, all dark. On the observation deck stopped. Through the great windows he could see the whole station spreading out below him, and beyond it the endless stars. "Commander's voice came through his communicator. "The Morning Star is ready." "On my way," he said. He took one last look at the view. Somewhere out there the council species were already discovering problems. Translation errors, system failures, questions that nobody could answer. They had thought humans were unimportant, background noise, easily ignored. They were about to learn otherwise. Turned away from the window and walked to the ship. As the Morning Star pulled away from the station, he watched the lights go out one by one. The diplomatic quarter went dark, then the commercial section, then the residential blocks. By the time they reached the jump point, Nexus Station was just a shadow against the stars, a ghost of what it had been. Behind them, the galaxy began to fall apart. 3 months passed. On Earth, life continued as normal. People went to work. Children went to school. Ships flew between human colonies, carrying goods and passengers along routes that needed no council permission. But in council space, everything was breaking. Doctor sat in her small apartment on Luna and watched the news. She had been Earth's chief medical liaison for 15 years before the withdrawal. She had worked with doctors from 30 different species. She had helped cure diseases that would have killed millions. Now she grew tomatoes on her balcony and tried not to think about the past. The news showed images from the purple-skinned beings were dying. A plague had appeared in their southern continent. It spread fast, it killed faster. The reporter explained that this plague was not new. It was a mutation of an old virus. 20 years ago, human scientists had helped to contain it. They had created treatments. They had built quarantine protocols. They had saved an entire civilization. All that research was stored in human databases. When the humans left, they took those databases with them. The government had sent 17 requests to Earth for the research. 17 times, Earth had given the same answer. "We are no longer members of the Galactic Council. Please direct your inquiries to the appropriate council authorities." They did not have the research. The council did not have the research. Only humans had it, and humans were not sharing. Turned off the news. She looked at her tomato plants for a long time. Red fruit hung from green vines. Simple life. Honest life. She had spent 15 years helping aliens who thought she was beneath them. 15 years of being ignored and dismissed and treated like a servant. She had done it because she believed in medicine. She believed in helping the sick. But she had stopped believing that the Council deserved her help. A different kind of disaster was happening. They controlled most of the galaxy's money. Their banks held the savings of 100 species. Their traders moved goods across 10,000 light years. All of it ran on quantum encryption, mathematical codes so complex that no computer could break them, codes designed by human mathematicians. When the humans left, they took the maintenance contracts. They took the experts who understood how the systems worked. They took the knowledge that kept everything running. Now the encryption was failing, small errors at first, a transaction that went to the wrong account, a number that did not match, easy to fix, easy to ignore. But the errors grew, more transactions failed, more numbers did not match. They hired their own mathematicians to fix the problems. Those mathematicians made things worse. The galactic economy began to shake. Secretary Shin stood before the United Earth Parliament. She was a thin woman with silver hair and a voice that could cut through steel. She had been against joining the Council 83 years ago. Her grandmother had voted for it. Her mother had supported it, had spent her whole career trying to undo their mistake. Now finally she had succeeded. The Council is learning, she told the Parliament. For 83 years we asked for nothing but fairness. They gave us contempt. We built their translation systems. We designed their medical treatments. We created their financial networks, and they treated us like we were nothing. She paused. The Parliament chamber was silent. Every representative listened. Now they discover that contempt has a price, continued. They are dying from a plague we could cure in weeks. The economy is collapsing because they cannot maintain systems they never understood. They cannot talk to them because our translation algorithms are degrading. She smiled. It was not a kind smile. They thought we were unimportant. They were wrong. On Nexus Station, things were worse than anyone outside knew. The station had not been designed by Council engineers. It had been designed by humans, built by humans, and maintained by humans for 6 decades. Now the humans were gone. The food production sector was failing. The hydroponic gardens that grew vegetables for the station's population were dying. The water recycling system was making strange noises. The air purification units worked at half capacity. Station Master had tried everything. He had hired the best engineers from 10 different species. None of them could understand the human designs. The systems were elegant and efficient, but they were also strange. Alien, human. The station had food for 3 more months. After that, people would starve. Sent a message to Earth requesting technical assistance. The reply came quickly. Technical assistance requires a formal service agreement between our governments. The United Earth government does not currently have any agreements with the Galactic Council or its member species. We suggest you contact the appropriate council authorities for assistance. Read the message 5 times. Each time, he understood it a little better. The humans were not coming back. The humans were not going to help. The humans had finally decided to let the Council face the consequences of its choices. He looked out his window at the stars. Somewhere out there, humanity was building its own future. A future without the Council. A future where they did not need anyone's permission to grow. And here in Council space, everything was falling apart. Wondered if the Council would survive. He wondered if his own people would survive. He wondered if anyone had ever really understood how much the galaxy had depended on the small, short-lived, supposedly unimportant species called humanity. He suspected they were all about to find out. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council had always been a place of order. For 10,000 years, species had debated here with calm voices and careful words. Disagreements were settled through votes and treaties. Violence was unthinkable. Shouting was considered deeply shameful. Today, everyone was shouting. The delegate slammed his crystal legs against his desk. The sound rang through the hall like breaking glass. "This is your fault," he screamed at the high speaker. "You pushed the humans away. You treated them like animals. Now look what has happened." The high speaker's tentacles writhed with anger. "Our fault. Your inspectors killed 32 human colonists with your pointless searches. Your arrogance drove them to this." "Both of you are fools," a representative gurgled from his tank. "We all ignored them. We all dismissed them. We are all paying the price." More voices joined in. Accusations flew across the chamber. Old grievances that had been buried for centuries suddenly came back to life. Species that had been allies for generations now looked at each other with hatred. And behind it all, one truth that nobody wanted to admit. Without humans to mediate, to translate, to solve problems, the Council was tearing itself apart. On Earth, former Ambassador Park sat in his new office. He was now Secretary of Interstellar Affairs. His job was to manage humanity's relationship with the rest of the galaxy. These days, that mostly meant reading messages and not replying. His assistant, Lieutenant, walked in with a tablet. She was young and smart and still found all of this somewhat amusing. "The morning reports," she said, placing the tablet on his desk. "They are offering us full mining rights to the entire cluster. They want to discuss revised trade frameworks. They are willing to pay triple rates for technical consultants." Picked up the tablet and scrolled through the messages. Each one was more desperate than the last. "Please help us. We will give you anything. Just come back." "What should I tell them?" asked. "Set the tablet down. Nothing. Nothing at all. Nothing at all." Nodded slowly. She understood. The Council had ignored humanity for 83 years. Now humanity would ignore them back. It was not revenge. It was simply the natural result of their choices. On the frontier, Captain IM commanded the patrol vessel Steadfast. His job was to protect human space from pirates and smugglers. It was usually quiet work. Most criminals knew better than to challenge Earth's fleet. But today, his sensors showed something unusual. A diplomatic ship flying toward human space with emergency beacons active. "They are requesting permission to enter our territory," his communications officer reported. "They claim emergency status." Thought about it. They had been among the worst offenders against humanity. Their inspectors had humiliated human ships for decades. Their government had voted against every human proposal in the Council. But emergency status was emergency status. Even enemies deserved basic decency. "Let them dock," he said, "but keep weapons ready." The ship was small and damaged. Scorch marks covered its hull. Something had attacked it recently. When the airlock opened, a single walked out. He was old, his crystal body clouded with age. "I am Ambassador," he said. His voice was translated by a device on his chest. "I come to beg for your help." Kept his face neutral. "What kind of help?" "Our home system's defensive grid is failing. Human engineers designed it. Human technicians maintained it. Now it is breaking down and we cannot fix it." His legs trembled. "Without those defenses, we are vulnerable. Pirates, raiders, our old enemies. Anyone could attack us." "I see," he said. "We will pay anything," continued. "We will give you whatever you want, trade rights, territory, apologies, anything. Just send your engineers to help us." Was quiet for a long moment. He remembered his father, a merchant captain who had been detained by inspectors for 30 days. His cargo had rotted. His business had collapsed. He had died poor and broken, all because some bureaucrat wanted to feel important. But looking at now did not feel anger. He felt nothing at all. That was worse. "I can give you food," said finally, "and fuel and medical supplies. Our doctors will treat your wounded." His crystal body brightened with hope. "And the engineers, the technical assistance. That would require a formal agreement between our governments. We have no such agreement. I cannot help you with that. The light in his body dimmed. Then we are lost. Perhaps, said, or perhaps you will find a way to save yourselves. You are an ancient species. Surely you have some resources we do not know about. Made a sound that might have been laughter or crying. We had one resource that we relied on for everything, you, and we threw you away. He turned and walked back to his ship, watched him go. He felt like he should feel something, satisfaction, pity, guilt, but there was nothing, just emptiness where his feelings should have been. The Steadfast provided the ship with supplies as promised, food, fuel, medicine, everything except the one thing they truly needed. As the ship flew away, stood at the window and watched it disappear into the darkness. Behind him, his crew worked silently. None of them asked questions. They all understood. This was not cruelty. This was not revenge. This was simply the truth that the Council had never wanted to face. Humanity owed them nothing. Humanity had tried to be partners for 83 years. The Council had refused. Now the Council would face the future alone. Whatever that future might bring. 1 year had passed since Protocol Silence began. The galaxy had changed more in that single year than in the previous century. The Galactic Council still existed. The Great Hall still floated between the stars. Delegates still gathered to discuss matters of importance. But the hall that once held representatives from 47 species now held barely 30. 3 species had withdrawn completely. They needed all their resources to deal with internal disasters. 2 more were fighting border wars that nobody could stop. Without human mediators to negotiate peace, old hatreds had exploded into violence. The translation networks barely functioned anymore. Delegates who had communicated easily for centuries now struggled to understand each other. Misunderstandings led to insults. Insults led to conflicts. Conflicts led to chaos. Admiral stood on the bridge of the Horizon, Earth's and most powerful ship. She could see a fleet of vessels approaching. 20 ships, all of them diplomatic vessels, all of them flying flags of peace. They are requesting permission to enter our space, her communications officer said. The High Speaker himself is aboard the lead ship. Raised an eyebrow. The High Speaker had not left his in 30 years. For him to come here personally meant something important, something desperate. Let them approach, she said, but keep our shields up. The fleet stopped at a respectful distance. A single shuttle detached and flew toward the horizon. When it docked, the High Speaker emerged. He was older than before. His purple skin had faded to gray. His tentacles moved slowly as if every motion caused pain. Admiral, he said. His translator made his voice flat and emotionless, but his body language showed exhaustion. Thank you for receiving me. High Speaker replied, this is unexpected. Desperate times require desperate actions. The High Speaker looked around the bridge of the human ship. Everything was clean and efficient and working perfectly. So different from council stations, where systems failed daily. Your people have built something remarkable here. Said nothing, she simply waited. The High Speaker understood. He had not come to give compliments. I am here to negotiate, not on behalf of the council, on behalf of the people alone. The council sent you. The council does not know I am here. The High Speaker's tentacles twitched with something like shame. The council is paralyzed. They cannot agree on anything. They spend all their time blaming each other for what happened, so I came myself, personally. He paused, gathering his strength. We were wrong, though we're wrong. We treated humanity with contempt. We ignored your contributions. We dismissed your value, and now we are paying the price. His expression did not change. What do you want, High Speaker? I want to know if there is any possibility of humanity rejoining the council. The question hung in the air. On the bridge, every human officer listened. This was the moment they had been waiting for, the moment when the galaxy finally admitted it needed them. "Wait here," said. "Secretary Shin will speak with you." She led the high speaker to a small conference room. The walls were bare metal. The furniture was simple and functional, nothing like the elaborate decorations of council chambers. The humans did not need to impress anyone. Secretary Shin was already waiting. She sat at the table with her hands folded, her silver hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her eyes were cold and clear. "High Speaker," she said, "please sit." He sat, his tentacles folded nervously in his lap. "I understand you want humanity to rejoin the council," said. "Yes, we will offer you anything. Full voting rights, permanent seats on every committee, control of the trade routes through your space, anything." Listened without expression. When the high speaker finished, she shook her head slowly. "No." The word hit the high speaker like a physical blow. "No, but we are offering everything you ever asked for, more than you asked for." "You are offering things that should have been ours from the beginning," said. "Things we earned through 83 years of service and contribution. Things you us out of arrogance and contempt." She leaned forward. "We are not interested in rejoining the council, High Speaker. We have moved past the need for it." "Then what do you want?" Slid a small data chip across the table. "These are our terms for bilateral cooperation with individual species, not with the council, with single governments negotiated case by case." The high speaker picked up the chip with trembling tentacles. "You want to deal with us separately, to divide the council." "The council divided itself. We are simply adapting to reality." Stood. "Take the chip to your government, study our terms. If they are acceptable, we can begin discussions. If not," she shrugged. "Earth will proceed either way. We no longer need the council's approval for anything." The meeting was over. The high speaker returned to his shuttle in a daze. As his fleet flew away, he stared at the data chip in his tentacles. Such a small thing, such an enormous change. On the horizon, Park stood at an observation window and watched the ships disappear. His assistant, now deputy secretary, stood beside him. "Do you think they will accept our terms?" she asked. Smiled. It was the first real smile he had worn in years. "Some will not. It does not matter. They will all learn the same lesson eventually." "What lesson is that?" Looked out at the stars. So many worlds, so many species. All of them had thought humanity was unimportant. All of them had been wrong. "That silence speaks louder than words," he said, "and humanity has finally learned when to stop talking." The stars burned on, eternal and uncaring, but among them something had shifted, power had moved, balance had changed, not through war, not through conquest, not through violence of any kind. Through the simple, devastating act of walking away, and letting others deal with the consequences. In the great hall of the Galactic Council, delegates argued and blamed and fought, but somewhere in their hearts they all knew the truth. The galaxy had lost something precious, something they had never appreciated until it was gone. And it was never coming back.